Welcome. Today you will not simply hear another book summary. You are on the verge of unlocking a door that few dare to approach. This is the door to how human beings actually operate, not their curated personas, not their carefully crafted Instagram profiles. It's how they genuinely think, feel, react, manipulate, love, hate, and lie. More importantly, it's how they conceal it all behind a carefully constructed mask. This is no motivational fairy tale. This is the unvarnished truth, raw, unsettling, and potent. Once you hear it, you cannot unhear it. This book is among the most startling and transformative texts ever written, with millions of copies sold worldwide. It is a tool used by CEOs, psychologists, leaders, creators, and even spies. It exposes the one element that governs everything in your life: human nature. Why do people betray you after you've helped them? Why do you repeatedly fall for the wrong person? Why do you sabotage your own success just when things are going well? Book provides the answers. The accuracy is terrifying. And here's your warning. Once you grasp these laws, you will see right through people. You will cease to be manipulated. You will stop pleading for affection. You will no longer waste time trusting the wrong individuals. You will finally comprehend why the world operates as it does and how to protect yourself and succeed within it. If you aspire to become emotionally powerful, mentally resilient, and unshakably wise, then listen to every single second, because today you are not merely learning. You are awakening. This video is also excellent for your English, filled with simple, powerful sentences, emotional storytelling, and real-world examples that make profound ideas easy to grasp. As you listen, your vocabulary, sentence structure, and comprehension will improve while you absorb life-altering truths. This isn't just English practice. It's powerful learning that strengthens your English and your thinking simultaneously. Let us begin. Law. People are not beings of logic. They're beings of emotion. We all prefer to see ourselves as rational, believing we make intelligent decisions. Choose partners wisely, buy only what we need, and remain calm, balanced, and mature. But the reality: we are not guided by logic. We are propelled by our emotions: fear, jealousy, anger, ego, insecurity, and desire. Have you ever purchased something expensive not from need, but to feel better or to prove your success? Have you ever fired off an angry text only to regret it moments later? Or have you remained in a toxic relationship, not because it was beneficial, but because you feared being alone? That is irrationality, and the most dangerous aspect is that you often don't realize you're doing it. You rationalize your behavior, inventing reasons to convince yourself it was the correct course of action. People do not see the world as it is. They see it as they feel it. For example, a person grappling with secret insecurity may perceive your confidence as arrogance. Individuals seething with inner anger will find a pretext to attack you, even if you've done nothing. So what is the solution? First, you must clearly recognize your own emotions. Train yourself to pause before you react. Ask yourself, am I reacting to the situation at hand, or am I reacting to my fear, my anger, my ego? Imagine a friend doesn't answer your message. For 2 days, you begin to feel ignored, unimportant, and rejected. But what if they were simply busy, unwell, or facing a struggle you know nothing about? Instead of assuming, breathe, wait, and then respond with wisdom. The most powerful individuals are not those who control others. They're those who have mastered control over themselves, particularly their emotions. If you cannot control your emotions, someone else will control them for you. Law 2. The law of narcissism. Everyone is self-absorbed. The solution is to cultivate empathy. Most people associate narcissism with someone obsessed with themselves, constantly showing off and craving praise. But that is only the most extreme manifestation. The truth is, everyone exhibits a degree of narcissism. Why? From childhood, we are conditioned to focus on our own needs, pain, dreams, and problems. Even when listening to someone else, we are often thinking, when is it my turn to talk? How does this impact me? Why aren't they paying attention to me? This is everyday narcissism. And herein lies the danger. When two self-absorbed individuals converse, nobody is truly listening. Each is waiting, competing, and focused on themselves. This is why relationships crumble, why arguments ignite, why leaders lose their followers, why lovers drift apart, and why people feel invisible. How do you rise above this? By developing genuine empathy, not feigned kindness or pretending to care, but by training your mind to step inside another person's reality. Ask, what are they truly feeling right now? Why are they behaving this way? What is happening in their life that I am unaware of? For instance, if someone yells at you in public, your first instinct is to yell back and defend your pride. But empathy allows you to pause and consider. Perhaps they aren't angry at me. Perhaps they are angry at their own life. Perhaps they have been carrying this pain for years. This doesn't mean you allow people to trample you. It means you see deeper. You remain calm while they lose their composure. You understand rather than judge. You influence rather than react. In a world full of people screaming, "Look at me," be the one who truly sees others. Because when you make people feel genuinely sin, you acquire a power that no degree, amount of money, or physical beauty can ever grant you. Law 3. The law of role-playing. Everyone is pretending. Learn to see behind the mask. We inhabit a world of masks. From a young age, people are taught to smile even when sad, to feign liking for their boss, to act confident even when they are falling apart. Consequently, most people navigate life by performing, not by living. In public, a person might appear kind, gentle, and soft-spoken. But behind closed doors, they could be cruel, insecure, or manipulative. In a relationship, someone might play the role of the perfect partner, while deep down they are riddled with fear, jealousy, or hidden resentments. This law teaches us that what you see is rarely the full truth. People become masters at concealing who they are. They smile at you when they harbor resentment. They compliment you while secretly consumed by envy. They agree with you only to exploit you later. So how do you protect yourself? By learning to observe patterns, not performances. Watch how they treat people who offer them no advantage. Observe their behavior when they are tired or under pressure. Note how frequently their actions align with their words. For example, a coworker might always praise you in front of others, but whenever you achieve a success, they fall silent. No congratulations, no smile, just a sudden coldness. That is a signal. Or you meet someone who constantly proclaims their honesty, yet they consistently shift blame, evade responsibility, or embellish their stories. That isn't honesty, it's an act. You must become a student of behavior, not of words. The objective is not to be suspicious of everyone, but to see people clearly before you entrust them with your trust, love, or time. Most of life's pain doesn't come from people hurting us, but from our believing their mask instead of their reality. Law 4. The law of compulsive behavior. People repeat the same mistakes over and over again. If you observe most people's lives closely, you will notice something peculiar. They continue to make the same errors repeatedly. They keep dating the same type of toxic person. They keep quitting. When challenges arise, they keep reacting with anger in every disagreement. It's as if they are stuck in a loop from which they cannot escape. This law explains why. People are driven by profound patterns of which they are unaware. These patterns originate from childhood, trauma, pain, or past habits. But rather than confronting them, people perpetually run from them, until those very patterns sabotage their health, relationships, and future. For example, a man who grew up feeling ignored by his parents may, as an adult, constantly strive to prove his worth. He overworks, overspends, and overreacts, all in a bid for attention. Yet, no matter his achievements, he still feels empty. That is compulsion. Or consider a woman who was betrayed years ago. Every time she begins to trust someone, she withdraws. She sabotages the relationship before it has a chance to hurt her, not because the person is untrustworthy, but because she is reenacting a pattern of fear. So how do you break this cycle? You must observe your behavior without judgment. Ask yourself, what patterns continually surface in my life? What do I persist in doing even when I know it causes me harm? What am I truly running from? You must cease blaming the world and start decoding your own history. The goal is not perfection. The goal is awareness, because once you see the pattern, you gain the power to choose to change it. And when you break a toxic pattern, you don't just heal yourself, heal your future. Law 5. The law of covetousness. People don't desire what they need. They desire what they cannot have. Why do people so often overlook what is good for them and instead pursue what is out of reach, unavailable, or even detrimental? Because desire isn't governed by logic. It's governed by mystery, distance, and illusion. The reality is, people don't crave what they fully understand. They crave what they can fantasize about. Have you ever noticed how someone seems to like you more the moment you pull away? Or how a product suddenly appears more valuable when it is sold out? Or how people will chase someone who treats them with indifference while ignoring the one who genuinely cares? That isn't love. It isn't intelligence. It's the human mind, seduced by what it cannot possess. This law is observable everywhere. In marketing, limited edition products sell out faster. In dating, the person who cultivates an air of mystery receives more attention. In careers, the job that seems just beyond reach becomes an obsession. But there is a dark side. Once people finally obtain what they've chased, they often lose interest. Because it was never about the object or person itself. It was about the chase, the illusion, the fantasy. How can you use this law wisely? First, avoid being overly available at all times. If you constantly give away all your time, energy, and emotions, people may cease to value them. Second, create space and mystery. Let people wonder. Let them wait. Let them desire. This is not for manipulation, but to protect your energy and establish balance. And most importantly, do not fall into this trap yourself. Ask, am I pursuing this because it is right for me, or simply because I cannot yet have it? True maturity is choosing what is healthy over what is merely exciting. It is loving the one who brings you peace, not the one who brings you chaos. It is building a life that is real, not one that just looks good from the outside. Once you understand this law, you will stop wasting years chasing illusions. You will start choosing what genuinely nourishes your soul. Law 6. The law of short-sightedness. People focus only on the immediate, and thus ruin their future. Look around you. People demand everything instantly. Success, love, money, results. They make decisions based on today, with no thought for how it might devastate them tomorrow. This law states that most people will sacrifice their long-term well-being for short-term pleasure. They choose comfort now, even if it guarantees suffering. Later, for example, someone knows they should be saving money, but they see a new phone, a stylish outfit, a random gadget. They buy it not out of need, but because of an immediate want. Later, when rent is due or an emergency strikes, they panic. Why? They chose today's pleasure over tomorrow's security. Or picture someone in a relationship. They feel bored and crave attention, so they cheat. In the moment, it feels thrilling. But weeks later, the cost becomes clear. Guilt, a breakup, loneliness, and shattered trust. That is the price of short-sightedness. This mindset is pervasive. People abandon their fitness goals after 1 week because results didn't appear instantly. They give up on their dreams because the journey is taking too long. They stay up late, scrolling through their phones, fully aware they will feel awful in the morning. The world advises you to live in the moment and do what makes you happy. But this advice can be perilous if it detaches you from consequence. Real growth is born from long-term thinking. Ask, how will this decision impact me 1 year from now? Am I avoiding a short-term discomfort that could lead to long-term peace? Will I be proud of this choice in the future? Anyone can live for the moment, but only a few possess the strength to build for the future. Those few become unshakable. Law 7. The law of defensiveness. People resist change, even when it's necessary. Have you ever tried to offer someone honest advice, only for them to become angry? Have you attempted to help a friend grow, only to be shut out? That is defensiveness. Humans are not naturally receptive to change. In fact, most people will defend their pain more fiercely than they will defend their own peace. Why? Because change feels like a threat. It means venturing into the unknown. It means admitting, I was wrong. I didn't know better. Need to grow. That is a difficult admission for the ego to make. Think of someone who is perpetually negative. You might gently suggest, perhaps try focusing more on solutions. They retort, so now I'm the problem. They push back not because your advice is wrong, but because they feel exposed. Or imagine a worker who refuses to learn new skills, even as their industry evolves and their job is at risk. They insist, I've always done it this way. They are not lazy, they are afraid. They fear failure, looking foolish, and starting from scratch. This law also applies to you. Ask yourself, do I become defensive when someone challenges my views? Do I dismiss new ideas simply because they are unfamiliar? Do I secretly fear growth because it requires letting go of my old self? If you do, you are not weak. You are human. The key, however, is to recognize it. The most powerful individuals are not those who never err. They are the ones who can listen to difficult truths, remain calm, and think, perhaps this is my opportunity. To grow, when you lower your defenses, you do not lose strength. You gain wisdom. Law 8. The law of self-sabotage. People unconsciously destroy their own progress. This is one of the most painful laws because it is so profoundly real. So many people are not defeated by others. They are defeated by their own minds, their own habits, and their own fear of success. You have likely witnessed it, perhaps even in yourself. Someone finally commits to a healthy diet, only to binge. On day 5, someone finds a sense of peace, then calls a toxic ex-partner just to talk. Someone launches a business, then abruptly stops working on it, claiming, I just don't feel motivated anymore. Why does this occur? Because deep down, they do not believe they are worthy of success. They are addicted to chaos, to failure, and to validating a story they have carried for years. I'm not good enough. I always ruin things. I don't deserve a good life. That story becomes their prison. Consider this example. A man grows up with parents who never showed him appreciation. He learns to seek validation through his accomplishments. He secures a good job and starts earning well. But now, every minor failure feels like a direct assault on his self-worth. Begins to fear pressure and avoid growth, thinking, what if I fail again? Without realizing it, he slows down, procrastinates on tasks, and disconnects from opportunities until he is right back where he started. That is self-sabotage. And the saddest part, people often don't know they're doing it. They say, I lost interest, or I just wasn't ready, or something didn't feel right. But deep down, they were afraid of becoming powerful. What is the solution? You must change the inner narrative. Ask yourself, what belief do I hold about myself that keeps me small? What fear emerges when I begin to succeed? Who told me I wasn't good enough, and why do I still believe them? Then, repeat to yourself, I am not my past. I am not my pain. I am not my fear. Start small. Keep the promises you make to yourself. Forgive your past self for what they did not know, and show your future self that they are finally safe in your own hands. You do not need to be perfect. You just need to stop getting in your own way. Law 9. The law of repression. Whatever you hide will eventually control you. Almost everyone carries a quiet storm within them. Anger that has never been expressed. Sadness that has never been confronted. Shame that has been buried for years. But instead of healing these wounds, people hide them. Say, I'm fine. It doesn't matter anymore. Or that was a long time ago. But the truth is, repressed emotions do not vanish. They transform, manifest as sudden outbursts over trivial matters, as a cold silence toward people who don't deserve it, as a fear of intimacy, as a jealousy that poisons relationships, or as a self-hatred that masquerades as perfectionism. For example, a woman who was abandoned by her father as a child never speaks of it. She buries the pain and pretends to be strong. Years later, she finds she cannot trust men. Every time someone gets close, she pushes them away and then wonders why love never lasts for her. That is repression. Or consider a man who was bullied in school. He never processed the pain. Now he has become overly competitive. He constantly needs to win, to prove himself, not because he is ambitious, but because he is still trying to silence the voice that once called him weak. This law imparts a difficult truth. Whatever emotion you refuse to face will find another way to control you. It may surface in your health, your relationships, your work, or your dreams.
Oh.
What is the solution? Face the pain, but do so without shame. Sit with it. Talk about it. Write about it. Grant yourself permission to say, yes, that hurt me. Yes, I carried it. But now I release it. Healing is not a sign of weakness. It is the most powerful act of self-respect. It's the most emotionally resilient people are not those who never cry. They are the ones who cried, healed, and rose again, stronger than ever before. Law 10. The law of envy. People feel envy in silence. They can quietly destroy you. This is one of the most uncomfortable truths of life, but it is one you must hear. As you grow, succeed, and shine, not everyone will applaud you. In fact, some will smile to your face while secretly hoping for your downfall. And the frightening part is that this envy doesn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it comes from a close friend, a colleague, a cousin Evan, someone you once helped. Envy often hides behind familiar faces. But what makes envy so dangerous is that it rarely announces itself. People do not say, I am jealous of you. Instead, their actions speak. They distance themselves without explanation. They suddenly become cold, critical, or competitive. They downplay your success, saying you were just lucky. They may even copy you and then try to outperform you. Let's say you begin to work diligently, improving your life. Suddenly, an old friend starts to mock your discipline, calling you too serious or boring. The truth is, your growth is a mirror reflecting their own stagnation. Or, after years of saving, you buy a new car. Instead of being happy for you, someone remarks, must be nice. That is not a compliment. It is envy disguised as a smile. How do you protect yourself? First, stop trying to please everyone. You are not responsible for how your success makes others feel. You can be kind, but you do not have to shrink yourself. Second, pay attention to people's energy, not just their words. If someone cannot celebrate your victories without turning it into a competition, protect your personal space. Most importantly, look within yourself. We all experience moments of envy. The key is to transform it, not deny it. Instead of asking, why do they have that? Ask, what can I learn from their journey? How can I use this feeling as motivation to build my own path? When you allow envy to become admiration, you grow. When you allow it to become bitterness, you fall. Choose growth. Law 11. The law of grandiosity. Success can blind you. Stay grounded. This law is for the winners, the climbers, and the dreamers who are finally on the ascent. Because here is the hidden danger of success. It can make you believe you are untouchable. When things begin to go well, you start to think that everything you touch will turn to gold. You stop listening to advice. You take greater risks with less preparation, become addicted to praise, attention, and status. And slowly, without even noticing, you become your own worst enemy. For example, a startup founder builds a successful company. He becomes famous, respected, and admired. But now, every suggestion from his team feels like a personal attack. He stops learning and only wants to be revered. He makes audacious moves without careful thought, and this leads to collapse. Why? Because his initial success convinced him he was invincible. Or consider an artist who gains popularity. Instead of remaining focused on their craft, they start chasing fame. They stop practicing, learning, and listening. Their work becomes lazy, but they fail to notice because the applause is too loud to hear the warning signs. That is grandiosity, and it is a silent killer of greatness. How do you avoid this trap? First, Always return to a state of humility. Remind yourself, I am still learning. I am still growing. I do not know everything. Second, surround yourself with people who will tell you the truth, not just what you want to hear. Third, do not confuse confidence with arrogance. Confidence says, I believe in my ability. Arrogance says, I can never be wrong. The higher you climb, the more crucial it is to remain grounded. Because the most formidable mountain is not the one that rises the fastest. It is the one that stays deeply rooted, no matter how powerful the storm. Law 12. The law of gender rigidity. People are trapped by narrow ideas of masculinity and femininity. Learn to transcend them. From the moment you are born, the world begins to condition you. If you are a boy, you are told to be strong, not to cry, to be aggressive. If you are a girl, you are told to be sweet, to be soft, not to be too loud. These messages might seem minor, but over time, they construct a prison. A boy who learns to suppress his emotions becomes a man who is incapable of opening up, even when he is breaking on the inside. A girl who is told to remain quiet becomes a woman who cannot speak up for herself, even when she is being disrespected. This law reveals that masculinity and femininity are not rigid rules. They are energies, and every single person contains both within them. To be fully human is to integrate both your assertive, logical side and your nurturing, intuitive side. True power lies not in conforming to a narrow stereotype, but in embracing the full spectrum of your human nature.